Have you noticed something changing in someone you love? Not something dramatic, just little things. Maybe they're quieter than they used to be. Maybe they've lost interest in meals, or they don't move around like they once did. Perhaps you notice more silence in the room, a sense that they are retreating inward, slowly and quietly. At first, it's easy to tell yourself it's nothing, just aging, just another slow Tuesday. But sometimes those quiet shifts are the body's way of preparing for something deeper, subtle, soft, and easy to overlook, but profound in meaning. These aren't just moments of aging, they are clues, like soft footprints in the snow, leading us toward a larger truth we may not want to face. They are often the beginning of goodbye, disguised as ordinary changes. We often imagine that the end of life is sudden, a fall, a diagnosis, a dramatic moment when everything changes. But more often, the body begins its goodbyes long before the final breath. It does so gradually, silently, and gently. It whispers, not shouts. And if we're not paying attention, we might miss those whispers until it's too late to truly prepare. These are signs not of defeat, but of transition. A body slowly turning inward, a spirit readying itself. This video is for anyone who wants to understand those subtle signs that may appear months, or even a year, before a loved one passes. These signs are not about fear, they're about presence, awareness, compassion. Because when we know what to look for, we can show up with intention. We can make choices that bring peace, rather than panic. It's not about clinical observation, it's about human connection. This is not a checklist, it's an invitation to lean in, to be near, to witness the journey of life unfolding in its final, most sacred chapter. So, I invite you to stay with me as we explore this together. And if this message resonates with you, if you've seen these signs or are walking this road right now, please let me know in the comments. Type 1 if this feels helpful. And if you feel there's something we could do better, type 0. Your feedback helps shape this channel and helps us support more people like you. Now let's begin. One of the first signs that often goes unnoticed is unintentional weight loss. It may start with skipped meals or smaller portions. A favorite dish is left half-eaten. Pants feel looser, belts need tightening, and while appetite can naturally decline with age, this isn't just about being less hungry, it's a signal that the body is changing in deeper ways. You might see your loved one eat just a few bites of a meal and then push the rest away. You might find half-finished drinks on the counter or notice expired food in the fridge. Over time, what begins as small patterns becomes a bigger story, one the body is quietly telling. Even food that once brought joy, freshly baked bread, favorite childhood recipes, may lose its appeal. Appetite may disappear, not from sadness or depression, but because the body is using less energy, asking for less input. As we get older, the body becomes less efficient at digesting food and absorbing nutrients. Even when a loved one is eating, they might not be getting the same benefits from their meals. Muscle begins to fade. Energy drains faster. They may become weaker, less steady on their feet, more prone to falls. And when the body starts to lose muscle, it also begins to lose its strength to fight off illness, regulate temperature, and even maintain balance. Families often respond with love, offering more snacks, richer foods, protein shakes, and sometimes those things help. But when they don't, it's important to understand the issue isn't just about calories. The body is conserving energy. It's beginning to transition. And at this point, forcing food can sometimes cause more discomfort than comfort. A loss of appetite, especially if persistent, is not something to push against, but rather something to understand gently. Instead, the focus shifts. Meals become less about nourishment and more about connection. A shared bowl of soup, a bite of something sweet, a warm cup of tea. These small moments matter more than the calories. What our loved ones often need isn't more food, it's more gentleness, more presence, more ease. Sitting together at the table, even without much eating, can offer a deep sense of emotional nourishment. In those moments, we nourish their spirit, not just their body. Alongside this weight loss often comes another quiet signal, a deep, persistent fatigue. Not the kind of tiredness that comes from a bad night's sleep, but a weariness that lives in the bones. A heaviness, a sense that everything, even small tasks, takes more energy than they can spare. At first, it might show up as more napping, a skipped walk, a canceled appointment, but over time, this fatigue becomes more profound. Getting out of bed is a challenge. Taking a shower feels like climbing a mountain, conversations feel exhausting, and you may find your loved one spending more and more time in their favorite chair, not because they're lazy or uninterested, but because that's simply what their body can manage. It may be difficult for you to see them sitting for hours without interest in moving or talking, but it's important to know this is not a reflection of their character. It's biology. Their body is working hard just to keep functioning. Tasks like brushing teeth, putting on socks, or making a phone call may require more effort than we can imagine. Even opening a jar, flipping a page, or walking to the mailbox may become monumental feats. What's happening internally is that the body is rerouting its resources. Organs slow down. The heart pumps less efficiently. Circulation weakens. Oxygen doesn't reach the muscles the way it once did. The body isn't prioritizing movement anymore. It's prioritizing survival. And while the outside may appear still, inside the body is working tirelessly to maintain balance, conserve energy, and sustain the essentials. And this fatigue isn't just physical, it's emotional too. People who once thrived on social interaction may begin to pull back. They might seem distant, quiet, even apathetic. But under the surface, there's often sadness, frustration, or grief. They may feel like they're slipping away from the life they once knew. They might even feel guilty for becoming more dependent, more withdrawn. This emotional exhaustion can be just as draining as the physical fatigue. This is where our compassion matters most. Not pushing them to rally or perk up, but simply being with them in the stillness, letting them rest, holding space for the changes, even when they're hard to accept, letting them know it's okay to be tired, to slow down, to let go a little. Sometimes just saying, "I'm here," is enough. Another sign that often emerges in the months leading up to the end of life is cognitive withdrawal. You may notice your loved one becoming more forgetful, struggling to remember names, mixing up dates, or repeating themselves. But over time, this can deepen into confusion, disorientation, or even hallucinations. You may hear them call out for someone who isn't there. You might see them engage in conversations with people they've lost. Or they might become suddenly quiet in a crowded room, overwhelmed by the noise and unable to follow the thread of what's happening around them. Memories may blend. The line between present and past may blur. They may ask where someone is, even if that person is sitting beside them. They may forget where they are. Or they may drift in and out of conversations, unable to follow what's happening around them. This can be one of the most painful things for families, watching someone who once lit up a room grow quiet, confused, and detached. But it's important to remember, this isn't a lack of love or care. It's not a personal rejection. It's simply the mind doing what the body is doing, letting go. Memory fades, not love. Connection shifts, but it doesn't vanish. Sometimes this withdrawal shows up as silence, long pauses, staring out a window, or even choosing to be alone more often. It's easy to assume they're depressed or upset, and sometimes that's true, but often their mind simply can't keep up anymore. The world feels too fast, too loud, too complicated, so they retreat into quiet. They might also avoid eye contact or show difficulty recognizing familiar faces. Their inner world grows louder than the outer one. This is where presence becomes more powerful than words. You don't need to fix it. You don't need to bring them back. Just be there. Sit with them. Hold their hand. Listen to the silence with them. Because even if they can't find the words, they can still feel your love. A gentle tone, a favorite song, the scent of something familiar. These can bring a surprising amount of comfort. They may not remember your name, but they will remember how you made them feel. As the body weakens further, it also becomes more vulnerable to illness. Minor infections that once cleared up in a few days now linger. A cough turns into pneumonia. A small cut takes weeks to heal. Fevers come and go. The immune system, once strong and alert, is slowing down too. This can be incredibly frustrating. You try every remedy. You call doctors. You schedule treatments. But recovery becomes slower, more complicated. And eventually, you start to realize it's not just the illness that's the problem. It's the body's inability to bounce back. You may also notice that illnesses present differently in older adults. A urinary tract infection might not cause pain, but confusion. A respiratory infection might show up as fatigue, not fever. These are subtle shifts, but they matter. Because when the body is in this stage, the goal is no longer always to cure. It's to comfort. Comfort becomes the new care plan. Relief becomes the goal. You may feel torn between doing everything and doing what's kindest. It's a balancing act no one wants to face. Sometimes, being present, offering gentle care, and simply allowing your loved one to be without pressure is the most healing thing of all. That might mean fewer medications and more warm blankets, fewer hospital visits and more quiet evenings at home. It means recognizing when it's time to stop fighting and start holding. Start easing. Start simply being. And through it all, remembering that love is the greatest medicine we have. And finally, the most unmistakable change often comes in the way a person breathes. Their breathing may become irregular, fast one moment, then slow, then paused altogether. You may hear a rattling sound, often called the death rattle. Their hands and feet may turn cool, their skin pale or bluish. The body is redirecting blood to the vital organs, and circulation is slowing. These signs can be deeply unsettling to witness. It's hard not to feel helpless, to want to fix, adjust, or intervene. But these are natural parts of the body's final journey. They are not signs of distress, even if they appear that way. In most cases, the person is not in pain. They are simply letting go. It is a surrender, not a struggle. At this point, comfort becomes the only priority. Maybe that means propping them up on pillows so they can breathe more easily, using a humidifier, offering sips of water, playing soft music, creating an environment that is gentle, calm, and full of love. An environment where every breath, no matter how shallow, is met with peace. Because in the end, what they will feel most is not the treatments or the interventions. It's you, your hand in theirs, your voice, softly speaking, your love, even in silence. You may find peace, too, in these quiet acts of care, not because they fix anything, but because they mean everything. As we close today's video, I want to leave you with this. The body knows when it's time, and when it begins that process, our role shifts from fixing to holding, from doing to being, from planning for more time to treasuring what time remains. The signs we've discussed today, weight loss, fatigue, cognitive withdrawal, persistent illness, and breathing changes, aren't just physical symptoms. They are quiet invitations. Invitations to be more present, to be more loving, to be gentle with others and with yourself. And in those final days, presence matters more than perfection. If you're walking this journey right now, know this: you are not alone. And your presence, your compassion, matters more than you may ever realize. You are the steady light in an otherwise uncertain moment. You are the comfort. You are the peace. Thank you for being with us today. If this video helped you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who may need this message. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What stood out to you most today? What will you carry with you as you care for someone you love? Here at Thrivepoint Life, we believe aging is not something to fear, it's something to honor. And in every stage, even the final one, there is love, there is beauty, and there is peace. We'll see you in the next video.